Yeah.
And I've really looked forward to this since you came in and did your little podcast with Dave Baxter talking about everything that makes you you with him and Epic Hope and so on. Which in the very short period of time that you came in and I thought, wow, she's a bit of a force of nature. And in the moments whilst you were in the podcast studio, it dawned on me that I knew you from a long time ago. 23 years we worked out, we think, ago, in another lifetime. From that point, having heard in a very, very tight nutshell what you're about when you came in and you were chatting to me on the landing, and there were so many things that were kind of little crossovers in the 23 years since you've wandered into Wigan Hall again. I really wanted to catch up with you about everything that you've done in between, because everything that you said to me in that 3 or 4 minutes before you came in to do that last podcast resonated with me and made me say on a number of occasions to myself, wait a minute, you did what? That happened, then this happened, and then that happened in all of that time, which has been fascinating, especially now having learnt what you've done with all of that stuff. So from my point of view, doing a podcast called Peak 15, which is about people who are passionate about something or lots of things, and finding out what it is that makes someone passionate about what they do or love. I just knew I needed to chat to you in here. And usually with Peak 15, I have a bit of a structure, something to lean on, questions to ask on specific subjects for the guest. But in this instance, I wanted to do it as just a free chat, and I wanted to therefore allow you more time to speak than me, because I do blether on quite a lot. So I want to do this with as few words from myself as possible, and learn from you what's gone on in that 23 years since we were both very, very young, and a lot of water's gone under the bridge in the meantime. So just take me back to that period, if you would. As I understand it, at that time you were young and in love, and with a young daughter, a very young daughter. She would have been how old?
So she's 23 now. So
she was a baby then?
She was a baby. Yeah. She must have been a baby.
Yeah.
So and, so it is. It's
And I was working with your partner.
Yeah.
Kurt, and
her dad.
Yes, and we were. I was picking up some tools, and met you because Kurt was upstairs. He'd been in the bath. You'd been to a night out, and you were both euphoric actually at that point.
I can't remember. So go on, tell me, because I kept thinking to myself, so when did he come to our house then? So go on, what had happened?
So Curtis is an incredible character in his own right, and someone who, if we go back even further, I'd grown up with from Sacred Heart Infant School.
Wow.
Because his mother and my mother were good friends.
Right.
And that's going back, way back to one of my earliest memories, which is of myself and my brother in the back garden at Audrey's.
Right.
With Curtis and Denny. And we were pouring water into mud.
That sounds about right.
Making mud pies. And I even remember thinking, I'm going to try what that tastes like with a dessert spoon from the kitchen. I don't know what my mum was doing and what Audrey was doing at the time, but they were probably enjoying themselves and then come out and say, what the bloody hell are you lot doing? And we were making mud pies in the garden. So Curtis I've known, and there was a gap between knowing Curtis as a child and then meeting him again at that point when I was doing a bit of labouring to support myself while I was on a course at college.
Yeah.
And at that time then, I picked up some tools and came to yours and Kurt's place, and you answered the door. Kurt was upstairs. He was shouting and bawling about how great an experience you'd both had at the Alpha programme. And I think that was...
Oh, was it?
Yes, yeah. And he came down in a towel and he told me how fantastic it was and how
Oh, wow.
an epiphanous moment had happened and that you were both really kind of... And you were absolutely filled with joy, the pair of you. And it was that, I think...
So that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is an amazing time. Wow. Because that is big. So do you know about the Alpha course?
No, but I'm very intrigued about it. Being someone who I would probably call myself agnostic.
Yeah.
As a lot of people are, and yet constantly intrigued by the what ifs and the maybes of life and of what it all means.
Yeah.
So at that point, being a young man myself and seeing how full of genuine joy you two were at that moment, I think it was that, Ellie, if I'm honest, that I recalled when I met you here again.
Right.
Because you now, if I'm completely honest with you, are the same person that you were at that moment.
Yeah.
And yet so much has happened since.
So much has happened.
So let's talk about that trajectory from that point, I think.
Okay.
And then maybe we'll go back in time a little bit and find out other reasons for you being you. But at that point, take me from there.
I will do. However,
go on.
You've just said that when you saw me the other week,
yes,
when we did the pod, that is what you saw.
Yes.
As what you saw that time when you came 23 years ago.
Yes.
And that just goes to show you the power of faith.
Okay.
And the power of God.
Okay.
Excuse me. Because I had a few months previously to that. In fact, it was probably a few weeks previously to that. No, it wasn't. It was a few months. So I had attempted to take my own life when Rhiannon was a baby. I was very suicidal. I had postnatal depression, but I'd also suffered with suicidal ideation for many years before that.
Wow. So,
because I'd suffered with suicidal ideation since about the age of 12.
Okay.
But I'd grown up with I'd known about suicide most, like, from when I can remember. So it was always an option for me.
Okay.
So what had happened was I mean, talk about jumping to the biggest thing right at the beginning. What had happened was I had gone to Hay Hall.
Yeah.
To take my life.
Right.
And I hate saying that because it sounds like how can you take your life when you've got a baby, and I had a son as well. How can you do that? But when you are in that place,
yeah,
anybody who is in that place is not in the right mind.
No.
Because you're rock bottom.
Yeah.
Nobody is planning to take their life if they're okay.
Yes.
And nobody ever wants to leave children. Nobody, I believe, who wants to take their life actually wants to die. Mm-hmm. They just want to escape the pain that they're going through. So I'd gone a few months previously to that, to Hay Hall, and I write about this at the beginning of my book, and it's about, I write about it at the beginning, and then you see what happened leading up to that.
Yeah.
Because I'd gone up, and I'd, like you, didn't have a belief. I was in a terrible, terrible state. I was in my car. It was pouring with rain. I was desperate. And it was the really low. It was probably the second darkest day of my life. And I'd cried out to God. Because I did. I cried out and I said, if you are real, you need to do something, because I can't do this anymore. Mm-hmm. You've got to step in. So that's how desperate I was.
Yes.
Like, I was literally, something has to happen.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
About that question that you asked, about that statement that you threw out there.
Yeah.
What was it in your life that gave you a sense of a God? As in, were you aware that there must be something else? Was there a thing or was it a throwaway line? Was it something that you didn't regularly think about, a faith or a God or a belief structure? Did you believe in, or were you aware of a belief structure around that time, or did it just come out of you? Did you just think, right, well, I'm at rock bottom. There's this thing. I'm not sure whether it is a thing. I'm gonna call him out. Was it as simple as that? Did it just come to your mind?
So I was brought up. I went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
I was brought up a Catholic. Used to go to confession.
Yes.
I'll tell you a funny story about that in a minute. I had Holy Communion.
Yeah. What did you think of the process of confession and all that type of thing, Ellie? Is it?
Well, literally, I mean, I could tell you a story about that, and then I can tell you another story about that, which I will. I'll just, going back to that conversation, I think, looking back, right, so I now believe that we've all got a God-shaped hole in us just waiting. I think we're all, until you have that relationship.
Yes.
I think everybody's searching. I think they're searching in bottles of whiskey. I think they're searching in materialism.
Yeah.
I think people are searching everywhere.
Okay.
And nothing ever fills it.
Okay.
Until you get that peace that you get when you know.
Okay.
But I'm not also saying that we're not human and life can still be tough.
Okay.
It's a big conversation. It's
yes.
a never-ending conversation.
Yes.
But ultimately, I have a very strong faith because of the experiences I've had. Mm-hmm. And I never say I believe in God. I say I know God. Because I know He's... Like, that's all I can say.
Okay.
Because that's all I can say.
Yeah.
But I believe my Catholic upbringing was... I was a child. Do you believe? It's all tradition, isn't it? It's all rules. It's all this and that.
Yeah.
I don't think I believed in whether there was anything or not.
Okay.
However, Curtis, as I call him, Curtis had conversations with me. Mm-hmm. Now, Kurt had a faith. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until what happened to me that I... So I'll tell you what happened. It is pretty mind-blowing what happened. So after I'd had this utter breakdown on my own in the car, I didn't take my life, evidently. I felt a real calm. Didn't click onto anything, and I just wanted to get home to my babies. So I went home. Curtis knew I was really poorly. He knew. Curtis was really good because he didn't know what to do with me all those months. He was really good with me. Mm-hmm. And we were breaking up, and it was a really tough time. Yeah. Because he didn't want to leave the house. We were breaking up. He knew I was ill. It was really tough. It's very, very tough when you're going through things like that. And then 3 days later, he'd said to me, why don't you go and get your nails done, or go and have a sunbed, or go and I was like, no, because I was so anxious about Rhiannon. I never wanted to leave her. I was thinking someone was going to steal her. I was thinking she was going to stop breathing. I wouldn't go anywhere without her, and no, she'll be fine, she'll be safe. Go and have a walk. And so I walked up where we lived, right at the top of the hill. Yeah. There was like a salon. Yeah. It had sunbeds and everything. And I walked up there. And it was really hard for me to go as well to do this.
You're thinking about Rhiannon back at home.
Yeah. And but I was thinking it'll do me good. And I've always been a person, and this helped me when I was even as a teenager and in my early 20s. Because bear in mind, I was 30. Yeah. I was 9 weeks away from being 30 when I had Rhiannon. Yeah. So I was 30 at this time. I've always been a person who's had the makeup on, done my hair, tried to dress well. Those things were always like a thing for me to help me cope with life. So Curtis was thinking this is going to help her get better, because I didn't want to look after myself. And it was just awful. So I went. And I get to the place, and it had a big window and a door. And as I'm opening the door, so be prepared for this. I'm opening the door, and as I open the door, I opened the door and step in, and I did feel funny. And as I looked, there was a reception area there, and there was this tall, blonde woman. And she looked at me, and she said, "Oh, come in, love. I knew you were coming. God told me."
Wow.
Yeah. When I tell people, I smile because I know this story, and I know that lady very well now, but it's hard for me to explain to people. I knew.
Yeah.
So if I'd have met that woman 3 days previously, I would have left that shop.
Yeah.
As fast as I could, because I would have thought there was something wrong with her.
Yes.
And like, whoa.
But that would have been an electrifying connection.
Well, that's what happened. Because I instantly, inside myself, knew that she was telling the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was mind-blowing.
So that truth, that kind of clear, resonating bell between the two of you, that would have been almost a noise, wouldn't it, for
I didn't know her from Adam.
No.
I didn't. It was unbelievable.
Did the conversation continue with her?
I went in, and I wasn't my normal self when I was poorly.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm a real people person, and I can chat.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk to people the same, but I did with her, and I was it. She knew that I was able to tell her that I've got a baby, and she said, "Oh, bring her here, bring her in, and come and have a chat anytime." And
wow,
she was really lovely.
That's like a massive port in a storm, that, isn't it? Where you can just go and be connected to something. There's a few things about that there that are fascinating.
Go on.
So for me, the fact that you couldn't explain the calm that came over you.
Yeah.
That wasn't you controlling that. I'll put that to you. That actually you asked that question and something made you calm and you can't explain what. And
in
you
the
went
car.
home. Yes.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So that, if we are...
I didn't even connect either.
No.
In fact, I didn't connect that for years.
No, because you're on a trajectory, aren't you? And that trajectory is being clouded by all these other things that are going on in your life and the factors of caring and worrying about your child and so on, the breakup. But there are things there in your mind now, certainly, that mean that a calm came over you that wasn't you in control of that. You had a partner who had a faith, and his faith led you to take time for yourself, which he offered you, and he offered you that understanding what made you, and he facilitated that meeting effectively.
Do you think?
Well, whether he didn't consciously. He'd probably sit here now and say, "No, I did. I just worried about her. I wanted her to do her thing. I wanted her to be herself."
Yeah.
But his consideration for you, which at the time would have been, that's a natural thing with Curtis. He's a naturally caring person. But I think to have that combination of things happen, a calm that occurs, you take that advice from your then partner, who then facilitates a meeting that then takes you into that resonating connection that has gone on, and I don't know how it's gone on, apart from the fact that she's now in your life, and you know that person, which is fantastic to think, and that actually there's been that's a pivotal moment from the point of view understanding what I know about you. You were on a trajectory ahead of that where suicidal ideation was something that was part of your being from a very early age. The possibility of it is there. Therefore, it's an option. Therefore, it's something I can do.
Yeah.
The wall that was created at the point that you had that meeting between suicidal ideation and everything else that you moved through.
Yeah.
It's probably still there. There's a doorway to it. You can get back to it if you want to, because that's how it's possibly always going to be. But knowing that that door can be shut and that you are now in a new place and that is with faith and that is with everything else that goes with that is fantastic.
Yeah.
For someone who saw you one side of that door and the other, the thing that is still there is you, is what makes you.
Yeah.
Is what makes you smile the way you do, is what makes you a happy person, is what makes you considerate and kind and all of those types of things. So so I think that there is a fascination that I have with someone who is thrown that many challenges, because there are more that you're going to tell me about that we'll build into this.
Yeah.
But despite all of that, and in spite of all of those things, you are still you. That has not changed. That is bomb-proof, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that fascinates me because that's in you. That's a driving force that is part of you.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of questions I've got. You said there's 2 stories about confession, but I'm going to give you one of mine.
Go on.
Because I was brought up Catholic with the routine, with the Sunday
Sacred
churches.
Heart, yeah.
I moved around. Holy Family. I was at Sacred Heart Infants, Holy Family, then back to St Mary's and St John's, so St Mary's Church.
Right.
And I suppose at the age where you then get to be able to choose what you do, and you're deemed an adult, 17 in my case, I just wanted to go and earn, I wanted to be out, I wanted to be doing my own thing and in control, so I left home at that point. And at that point, I guess, the routine of church, the routine of confession and so on, especially certainly from primary through to early secondary, left me.
Right.
But you're left with questions that are growing because of your maturity. Okay, well, if all of that is a book, then okay, there are things about that I can lean into if I want to, learn from and be a person.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I remember is going to confession at St Mary's. We were led from the school at the back of the church up to the church and into the church and into the pews. And I'm thinking, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been so many weeks since my last confession. So I'm remembering that, forgive me, Father. It's my turn, the light comes on. So I go, open the door, kneel down, sign of the cross. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been so many weeks since my last confession. These are my sins. Go through the sins, whatever they were at that point. I've said it all. And the priest behind it, okay, so what I want you to do is blah, 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 X, Y, Z, and here's your... and I was so relieved that I just came straight out of the thing.
Go on.
Just left the church without doing any of the prayers whatsoever. And I just remember, I think it was Mrs. Ramsdale just went, and just watched me go out to the door, relieved.
You were so happy.
So happy. Done what I needed to, said what I needed to. And when I got back to school, she said, young man, did you not have any sins? And I just realised, oh my God, I didn't do my prayers. But it was that structure of it.
Did you have when you said you had the relief?
Yeah.
So did you carry the weight of your sins?
No, it wasn't that, if I'm honest, Ellie.
Exactly. I just think it's awful.
It was the weight of the routine that I needed to remember.
Right,
and so what I was doing, I guess, is I found myself it was such a rigid thing that I wanted to break from it. And therefore naturally I felt myself going, oh, thank God for that. I don't need to remember all these things. You know.
Yeah.
So that was my little confession.
I just think it's so sweet. I can just picture you. Because I think we were brought up, because we're practically the same age, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'm a bit older than you. I feel like I'm a bit older than everyone these days. But I was in the 70s, wasn't it, when I was like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I remember being told that I used to be petrified of doing anything wrong. and I was having like wrong things done to me, and it was like I was, being told that you have this. I used to
Guilt.
Yeah, I lived with guilt, like the amount of guilt and shame that I've carried on my shoulders for years. And I sometimes think, not only did it come from having an abusive stepfather, but it's also come from, I think, my Catholic upbringing, like what you got in pushed into you from school and things.
Yeah.
But I did have a really good experience with a lovely priest. I always remember our priests were lovely. So I know people have horrific experiences, and so I don't talk about it too much, but I do mention that in my book.
I remember a priest, Father Horton,
Yeah.
St Mary's. He was into the scout leading side of things, so we'd go to the lakes with him. My dad had come with us.
Yeah.
Fantastic time as a youngster.
Yeah. Formative
years with a chap who, at Scouts and Cubs, you'd be on his back, he'd be running you around the everybody toy fighting. The guy was phenomenal, and he was fit as a flea.
Yeah.
And we all went to his funeral, and it was a massive occasion.
And that's so lovely, because we have to remember the good stories about good people, because too often certain areas get tarred with a brush of, and I understand that, and I've gone through abusive situations, so I'm the first to stand up for anybody who's gone through those situations.
I know that shaped you.
It's the piece of paper that I used to have in me with blotches all over, like we were told at school. Think of it, you've got this piece of paper, it's covered in blotches every time. And I used to be thinking, but I haven't done anything wrong. So when I used to go to confession, this is how bad confession was. Saturday morning confession, I used to think, I haven't done anything wrong. What have I done? Have I done anything? I did everything right there. So I've been a good little girl. So I would go into confession and lie.
Yeah.
I'd be lying confession.
To make
I've been making things up that I'd making sense. So I'd go, I've pulled my tongue out, I've done this and that.
Yeah.
And I'd be thinking, so please give me so many Hail Marys, then everyone sees me saying Hail Marys. Hopefully I'll get 10. That's 10 Hail Marys and 53 Our Fathers.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, it's so like, how weird is that?
Yeah.
So I just think, what a shame. Evidently, children aren't understanding it properly. It was all it was nothing to do with the beautiful love of God. It was all fear. And that's what I think hopefully has changed these days. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it has. And I can't say that's how things are taught to children now, because I don't go to Catholic church and I don't go to Catholic school. It's probably all changed. I'm talking about my own experience.
Yes. Yeah.
And it is funny. We laugh about it. But it's a shame, because I think so many people who could have relied on faith are petrified of that, because they've got such bad experiences. And I did. And so, but like I said, I did tell a priest about stuff that was upsetting me.
So you confided?
I did, yeah.
And at a young age?
Yeah.
And what?
I'll get upset now.
No, well, let's not go into that.
Yeah,
then.
sorry.
So, but
I don't
there
know
are
why I get upset, because I've dealt with it.
Yeah, but it's
these things. I think it's because I'm talking about little children.
Yeah, and there is something hard coded into young children.
Don't be me therapist.
But it is hard coded into young children, isn't it? You said it was described to you as this blotting of a copybook.
Yeah.
This paper that was full of, and therefore try and get it as clean as you can. But you're never going to get it really clean, but do your best. And then, so as children, we go, well, we want to do our best, and we want to.
You want to please everyone. You're a child. Children are supposed to be loved. I get upset about kids that are going through stuff. Yeah. Sorry, it's like, do not cry on me now.
No. Look,
it's tough. It's tough. This is why I care about children and young people struggling.
Yeah. And do you think that shaped how you were with Rhiannon?
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
I mean, she is just amazing.
Yeah.
And now let me get myself together. Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
I'm getting upset.
Do you want me to get you some tissue? No. Let me get you some tissue. Are you okay?
Sorry, Stuart.
You don't need to apologise at all. You don't need to apologise at all, because this is
we're already upset.
It's a wonderful conversation where I'm understanding more
Let's
about
laugh.
you, and
Because I like laughing.
Yeah. So what's happened?
The thing is, right, Rhiannon has turned out to be the most incredible young woman.
Yeah, and she's now part of your charity
She is,
setup,
and she is. Me and her have the most incredible conversations because we talk about. She will say now, I completely understand, Mum, now because of your upbringing and the traumas that you went through in early adulthood. I completely understand why you were like you were.
Yeah.
So, because I was so overprotective of her.
Yeah.
Like ridiculously.
Yeah.
Catastrophic thinking all the time.
Yeah.
Which so many people are unaware of. And when you explain things to people, they'll say, oh my gosh, I know somebody who's like that. And I always say, well, they probably need to process trauma.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so ultimately, she's so mature because but then the other side is, I feel like, she will say she gets angry at the way the things that happened to me because, like, things she's had to process and grow up a bit too quickly.
Yeah.
But we've dealt with that as a mum and daughter, and we have an amazing relationship. But yeah, I was always living on my nerves bringing her up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's almost like you've had. Don't get me wrong. I've loved being a mum to her. She's had an amazing mum. Like we have that. We laugh all the time. We love being a mum and daughter, but because I've not had extended family either, it's been really tough being a single mum.
Intense.
It's hard being a single mum and aiming to get it right and knowing that you're living with a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is why I'm such an advocate for people who need help.
Yes.
Because there's so many people out there that they've got the makings of being a brilliant human being and they just need a bit of help.
Yeah.
And so many people are judged for needing help or just pushed to the side when they just need a step up.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we want to help so many people at Epic Hope.
Yeah.
And I do see things like, when you've got to understand, when people are growing up with traumatic incidents, if it's not dealt with, and so many of us, especially my generation, I think, well, unfortunately, it's happening now, but I mean, we're the adults now.
Yes.
So many people have just been left to the wayside, and that's why there's so many problems with our adults now, because, and the cycle continues, because you've got adults who are struggling with the mental health, looking after, bringing children up, and then they're having children. So that's why the mental health and everything's so chaotic at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe people think we've made great strides, and we have made great strides, but not enough.
No.
And not enough people with lived experience are listened to.
Yes.
So they are, and it's the big thing at the moment, the big buzzword, lived experience. But please don't use it as a tick box, and please don't use it as just that we need to pop someone in with lived experience, just then we're doing the right thing. You need to listen to people with lived experience who are in working in mental health and suicide prevention. You need to listen, because we do understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm a learner as well. Like I like to listen to people who are in authority when it comes to people who are professors and working. They really know what they're talking about around the globe, and we've got access to that all the time. They know what they're talking about, but they also need to listen to people with lived experience. They are bringing it in, but it's imperative, isn't it?
Absolutely. There's so many impactful things that you've just said that occur to me as you went from.
Sorry, I got upset.
No.
Sorry, everybody.
As you went from going from being upset into the reasons why and the structured way that you think and the power of lived experience and the idea of generational compounded and compacted mental. What is this phrase? Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
So I hear people talk about mental health.
Yeah.
To me, it's about the level of your mental health.
Right.
Okay. So people say, "Oh, you need to have your mental health right. Your mental health has to be." To me, a healthy mind is something that you have to nurture, you have to grow. And if there are things that are fundamentally in the way of you having a healthy mind, then those are the things that need to be unpacked and understood and maybe put away. They're never going to not be there, but you have to be able to manage them. It's only those with lived experience that can do that. And those that do what you do need to be listened to. You made that point. They need to be listened to. They need to be learnt from. They need to be worked with.
Yeah.
Because without that, none of that generational stuff can be unpicked for those that are so far enmeshed into a particular level of low mental health. It's a fascinating notion, because as someone who deems their mental health to be okay, and I'm doing what I do, and I work through stuff as everyone does, you hear about it and you are impressed by the fact that there is now more openness to the discussion around it. But for me, it's about the action and who's doing that. As you say, it can't be used as a tick box. You need people who do what you do to understand those who are going through it now. Let's talk about that a bit, and a bit about. I'm fascinated about how Epic Hope does what it does. Yeah. You talked about your harbours.
Yeah.
Okay. Which again, as a concept, I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
That anyone can drop into one of these situations, where they can then sit and listen and be part of a group.
Yeah.
Within which, after a bit of a conversation, may be in a position to say, I need help.
Yeah.
So tell me about that and the process of it, Ellie.
Okay. So the harbours are set up so that anybody can come into a harbour, and they're for anybody who is, you might feel like you're coming into suicidal crisis, that you do feel that you just want to take your life, but they're also there for anybody who's feeling anxious or depressed. You could have just had a relationship breakdown. They're there for anyone who feels that they're in a mental crisis or struggling. We always say we're there for people so they don't get to that crisis. And they've grown and they're in various places around Wigan because the need is great around Wigan and Leigh.
Mm-hmm.
And they're making a difference to people. We get messages from people and things written on Facebook and on social media saying, thank goodness you were there for me, which is amazing.
Yes.
But like I said, sometimes someone will come and they'll have a brew and they might be sitting there for a couple of hours and they seem okay and they relieve they're there. And then just before we might finish, they'll let you know, I think I'm going to kill myself. And then we stage an intervention.
Okay.
And we do that by asking them if they've made a plan to take their life. And we sit with them and we ask them if they want us to do a safety plan with them. We don't ever leave anybody. We want to intervene and help them find ways to hold on to life.
Yes.
Better, there's always an option.
Yeah. So talking about that a little more in terms of being a fly on the wall in that scenario. For anyone who might be listening who goes, what, I want to go to a harbour.
Yeah.
typically, how does that conversation go with the people in the room? Is it just a normal chat, and then ultimately we get into a situation where someone might offer something? How does that work?
So it's peer support.
Okay.
So peer support is where we can sit down, we can sit like a group setting, and you ask people how the week's gone.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to talk about anything that's happened this week that they want to share? Somebody will share. Somebody else might say, I've felt like that this week, I've gone through that this week.
Okay.
Somebody might share they're going through something at work, or they might be off sick from work.
Yeah.
And you might have a time, there could be a harbour where absolutely nobody's feeling suicidal, but they just know they're glad they've been this week.
Yes.
They just want to talk. You could have somebody who doesn't want to talk at all, just needs to be in that safe space.
Yeah. And I think, am I right in saying that perhaps people will get comfort from the fact that they're not alone in their thinking? The fact that this person here is, they've said pretty much what I was thinking at the beginning of this week, and they're still here. And, is that how it works?
I think that's the beauty of knowing that other people are in a situation similar to you.
Yeah.
If you isolate yourself and because it is hard to take a step, I think, but it's hard for everyone once you've taken that step and actually reached out for help, or gone to a place, like say we were sitting here and actually sat down and thought, do you know, I actually feel better just being here. I don't know anybody here, but she's just said that and I kind of get what she's talking about. Even if you don't want to share, because you don't have to, that person might leave and just feel 100% better.
Yes. And
that could have saved somebody's life.
Yeah.
That is suicide intervention.
Yes.
Ultimately, it's not just about, this is what I always say, that is suicide intervention.
Yeah.
A suicide intervention is preventing someone from taking their life, but to me, that is preventing someone from getting into suicidal crisis by giving them the option to go somewhere.
Yes.
That's why, knowing that we provide as many places as possible in Wigan, not just us with harbours, but people knowing there are places like Andy's Man Club, like Directions for Men, like Manly, like women's groups, women walking groups.
Yes.
I know there's a few things popping up lately. They're so important.
Yeah.
There needs to be as many options as possible.
Yeah, because whilst everyone in that space is probably at a similar place in their mind, be that suicidal thoughts or crisis or somewhere around that with depression and so on, everyone has their own interests, everyone has their own things that they may want to express, and therefore to have a network of organisations is a brilliant thing, isn't it?
It's what Wigan is offering as well.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this town. Mm-hmm. That's what I've learned about. I think there seems to be more happening as well, and the motto, isn't it, the 50 years of Wigan is progress with unity.
That's right.
And as we had the conversation when I was here with Dave and Melissa, my big thing is collaboration, mm-hmm. and that I believe that the more we connect with each other, individually and collectively with other organisations, that makes a safety net.
Yes, it does.
And I think that is suicide intervention.
Yeah, it really is.
That is suicide intervention.
Yeah.
And so
at an early stage.
And us coming together is progress with with unity.
Yeah.
That is what unity is.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that that is the motto, and
mm-hmm.
and that, I mean, I know it always has been, but I love that Wigan Council are asking us all to come together, all to be involved in that, all to be proud of sharing that, and us to keep it in our minds, and that is really important to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I think like the whole of Wigan, we all need to look after each other's mental health. Yeah,
absolutely. And there are things that collectively help. For a long time, I've been proud to say that I was involved with Joining Jack from the very beginning. And the thing about the thing about joining Jack now, as I look at it, is that it is an institution in its own right that the council have facilitated as much as individuals, organisations, public and private. And when I think about the reach, but I also then take it back down to the 3 events that Joining Jack stage is that everyone can be involved with.
I love that.
The Wigan 10K, the Run Wigan Festival, and the Wigan Bike Ride. Those things are a place we pull people together into from all walks of life.
Yeah.
You know, and that crowd of people. Yeah. Not only the ones that are taking part, but the ones who are there to support. Yeah. That is amazing. The biggest physical manifestation of what you're talking about. I think that we've got. Yeah. Do you
want me to tell you a story?
Yeah, go for it.
About joining Jack.
Yeah.
This is so beautiful, and I love this. And this just shows. I talk about full circle. Mm-hmm. So in 2017, I had a really bad accident.
Yes.
As you know.
Yeah. We were going to get to this, so this is perfect.
Well, this is beautiful, what I'm going to tell you. So, and it's about Jack's mum. So, and this is what this to me is, I'll cry again, because this is beautiful humanity and full circle stuff. So I had the accident in June 2017. I got hit by a van while I was cycling. I'd just come from the end of a long 23-mile long bike ride. Anyway, I was at the roundabout. The van came through. It was all his fault. Blah de blah. Suffered. Got hit by the van. I had me thrown over the roundabout. Had my helmet on. The paramedic. Everybody thought I were dead. It was bad, and I've got neurological challenges to this day. Anyway, a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't, that I was training because that was the Thursday, and on the Sunday I was doing the 50-mile Joining Jack bike ride. It was in Chorley in 2017. Anyway, when we started Ep.4, little bits of groundwork were being done at the end of 2022, but I always say it was 2022 we started, but really we didn't register properly until July last year. Yeah. So officially it was July last year, so July, August, September, October. We've only really been official for 15 months, but we've been doing the work out there with Harvest for like 19 months.
Yes.
So last year I was walking my dog, George, in Coppell.
So we're talking about a time period between 2017 when the accident happened in June,
and then
to
last
2023.
Yeah. I was this is after the accident.
Yeah.
Right?
Gone through all kinds of recovery.
Oh.
Operation after operation.
Operation after operation. Yeah. So since 2017, I've had a number of operations because this side of my body was a mess. I'm still 7 years later, I have pain management for my neck and my shoulder. I've got so much scar tissue in this arm. Mm-hmm. I couldn't use this hand properly for a long time. It still can just drop. I still have problems.
Neurological problem, yeah.
But I've give up. I can't. You just live with stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And
can I just ask you one more question about that? So
it ruined my life.
Of course.
Yeah.
And at this point, you're on a totally different trajectory.
Yeah.
You've shut that door behind you. You've met this person. You've raised Rhiannon to the point where she is now a young woman. You've protected your mental health. You've grown in
I still
confidence.
Cry a bit,
but you've now got a what's the word I'm looking for?
A thriving.
yeah, fantastic
How have we
organisation that you've grown over all that time, and then with faith as part of your armoury, you have suffered this accident. Okay, and this accident has happened to you, and you've been pulled through that. You spent how long at the point of being hit by that van in recovery, in the immediate aftermath? What was that? Hospitalisation for?
Well, when I was sent home from hospital, they didn't really know how ill I was because they'd done the scan on my head, and because I didn't have a bleed on the brain, I was sort of left. So this is where the TBI and suicide comes in.
Okay.
So this is we're just going with too many paths to talk about, haven't we?
But it's good.
So I'll tell you quickly about the story about.
Because we were on that trajectory.
Yeah.
We're on that trajectory.
So the accident was bad. So anyway, jump forward to last year. I'm walking my dog in Coppell, and I see this lady in front of me with her dog. So George had gone over. She had this lovely dog, and she's walking, and she has this joining jack top on, and the dogs are talking, and I just said to her, because I thought, because she were looking all fit and healthy, like she were ready to go for a run, and I were feeling all like still. I've had 2 stone to lose ever since 2017 because I've always been that runner and kept fit, and I used to be a triathlete. So since the accident, that's always been I'll tell you about the 12-hour spine surgery before the accident, after in a minute. So I was looking at her, I was thinking, she's about to go running. I wish I could go running. And I said to her, I said, every time I see joining Jack, it always makes me feel sad. And she looked at me and she went, why? And I said, well, in 2017, not having a clue who this woman was, I said, well, in 2017, and we're walking with the dogs, I said, I had a really almost fatal accident. I said, I was due to do the joining Jack bike ride on the Sunday, and I got hit by a van on my bike, and I'm still struggling with the after effects. And she said, I'm so sorry. I'm Jack's mum. And I just went, I'm so sorry. And she said, no, don't. And I said, well, the good thing that's come out of it is I had a brain injury, but I've found out now about the effects of brain injury and suicide. So I've started an organisation called Ep.4. And so so we walked all the way around Coppell together, around Chisnall. And she ended up saying to me, why don't you get a team of runners for the Wigan 10K?
Yeah.
We'll get you a group booking, and we'll get... And it was literally...
Yeah.
So the time was literally about 8 weeks to the Wigan 10K. So I must have seen her about July last year.
Yes. Yeah, and then September.
So she got me in... So we messaged on Twitter, X, whatever.
Yeah.
And she sorted it all out. And then I met the lovely Michelle.
Yeah.
Me and Michelle, I just love Michelle.
Yeah.
My gosh, I just got engaged.
She has, yeah.
I literally love her.
New York, I think.
I love her. Yeah. And that, it was my experience of Alex. Yeah. And I've never forgotten it.
Yeah.
Because every time I am still have a bit of PTSD from the accident.
Of course.
And I think what I do need to tell listeners is this: never be ashamed of admitting that you still have things, because I live a life where I'm running a company with the help of others, thank goodness. I live a very productive life. I'm a writer. I help a lot of people. I'm very capable. But I also have parts of my life where I have to acknowledge, right, I need to rest today.
Yes.
I've got to take time out for me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to rest my brain. I can't do this. I've got to put myself on. And actually, I might just need a little bit of help for me. I might need to make that phone call and have some therapy.
Yeah.
And that might happen for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
We've got to stop thinking that you get fixed.
Yes.
And, once you're fixed, life becomes perfect. That is not true life.
Yes.
And people need to stop thinking that everything's awful. You seek help, you get better, and everything's great. That's not life.
No.
That's never going to be life.
No.
And I think when people acknowledge that it's okay, I mean, what's the sentence? It's okay not to be okay.
Yeah, yeah.
We all have to be at the level where we can live a responsible life and be able to take care of ourselves and live a life that's not in chaos. We've got to be able to do that. But there's nothing wrong with saying, do you know what, I'm struggling a bit at the moment, and I just need to take some time for myself. And I'm able to do that now. So
that's a really good bit of advice in terms of acknowledging that.
Fear it.
Yeah. It needs to be acknowledged, doesn't it? That it's never going to be perfect.
No, for anybody.
Never going to be perfect. It's never perfect for anyone who claims that they don't have any mental health issues.
And some people might not, but listen, my old boss used to say to me, because my boss was amazing, he founded a big international children's charity, and I love him, and he used to say to me, Ellie, if somebody tells you that they've never had anything bad happen in their life and they've 35 or under, he said, just say to them, well, you've got it coming. Don't be so proud that your life's perfect, because if it's been perfect so far, you've got some stuff coming.
And fantastic that it is and has been.
We're happy for you, but don't be too proud, because be prepared. We're all going to need someone at some time. You know.
That's really good advice. I'm intrigued now as to who that chap is.
I'll give you a few of his books.
He
wrote a book called Teflon Rhino.
Okay.
And I regularly pick it up these days.
Wow.
Because it's really good about leadership.
The notion of a Teflon Rhino is fantastic, isn't it? Nothing touches it.
And the thing is, my daughter is a Teflon Rhino.
Okay.
I've brought her up. I've done really well.
Fair play.
All things considering.
And
Curtis has helped, but he will give a lot of the credit to me.
Yeah, well, that's good. As he should. No, look, it's a fascinating, and we're barely scratching the surface, because, you know, when I think about the fact that, so where did the triathlon stuff come from? Because obviously, you know,
I've always been a runner ever since I was younger.
How do you manage after an injury like that? You still have a desire to keep fit. You still have a desire. You probably still love the notion of running and exercise and triathlon and swimming and biking. I'm assuming that you've not been near a bike since the accident.
Never sat on it. There's one in the garage, and I can't. I'm still.
But it's there.
Yeah.
It's in the garage.
I can't sit on one. I cannot. I don't. It was for my mental health, keeping fit as well, but you can keep fit in other ways.
That's the question I've got for you, Ellie. How do you...
Well, you know, when we were talking about Ollie, the adventurer,
Ollie France,
I absolutely have always been that risk taker and that adventurer. That's been in me from being young. And it's like even now, because we do laugh about this, me and Ree, I always want to go and do things, and then I always think, oh gosh, but I might do something to my spine. Oh gosh, but I might do, and it's awful. But I literally, because of the amount of pain, the physical pain that I've been there, and I can't put my body through that again. So but I miss it so much, because it was so intrinsically part of who I was. Like I used to teach aerobics. I was the person jump on your back. I ran. I ran for school. I ran for Lancashire. I was like a whippet. That's what I always ran. That's what I did. I think Curtis, when I first met him, said one of the things he fell in love with me for is that because we met in a recording studio. Okay. Because we were both. I was the singer.
This is what I mean about scratching the surface.
No, there's too much. I've had a lot of lives. I think I write on my face. It's on my Facebook bio. I'm still here like a cat with 9 lives. How am I? Am I on my 8th life now? We met in a recording studio, me and Curtis.
Okay.
I was singing.
It doesn't surprise me.
No, and. He was, and the technician, Paul, always says, I'm so sorry that I introduced you to Curtis, because the next thing we'd fell in love and we were having Rhiannon. He says, I ruined your career, He always says that, Paul. Well, you did, But I suppose I shouldn't have listened.
Maybe give us a few bars and then it might just all...
I'm too shy. So you know Rhiannon's a singer?
Well,
I told you, didn't I, because of your... almost daughter-in-law, should I say that? Maybe not. Son's girlfriend.
Oh, Zoe, yeah.
Zoe,
yeah.
'Cause you did tell me about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you about Zoe
So,
Unsworth,
yeah. I think me and Rhiannon would like
Hi,
probably
Zoe.
do hi Zoe. Me and Rhiannon might do a song together. But she's got an incredible voice.
Really?
Like I'll go, oh my gosh, like you're really good, and she'll go, no, you're better than me. I'll go, no, oh my gosh, no, your voice is amazing. No, your voice is amazing. Something like that.
You'd have to do a duet then or something.
We have to do a duet.
Fantastic. And then there's other things that intrigue me. I see that there is the 3 letters R-E-V before your name. Tell me about that. Tell me about that.
R-E-V.
You're Reverend.
I know, I'm joking, yeah. Yes, so I am an ordained minister.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm a fully fledged Christian.
Yeah.
No, my faith is very, 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 very strong.
Yeah.
It's kept me alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it mattered to me that I was able to. Do you know? It's very strange. I finished. I wanted to complete Bible college.
Okay.
And I think it was all. Do you know? I think it was almost to be accepted in the Christian community.
Right.
More that I understood things, and really, the older I get, none of that matters.
Okay.
Like, I'm glad I'm an ordained minister, that I'm able to marry people, I'm able to baptise people.
Yes.
That I'm able to conduct funerals. But the beauty of most things is if you're able to. One of the most beautiful things to me is to baptise someone who wants to be baptised before they know they're going to pass away. I mean, that's just such an honour.
Yeah. Yeah.
An absolute
Wow.
honour. That means a lot to me.
That's incredible.
But as anything else, I think ultimately what matters to me more than anything is that I have my faith with God, and I would love other people to know that it's the most beautiful thing in the world, and it has saved my life, and I would hope that it would save someone else's. But everybody has their own journey, and we have to be mindful of that.
I've got some questions around that.
Yeah.
So what I've observed there is that you see faith as a very personal thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and therefore the fact that you are part of a larger thing is no longer as important to you. However, the ability to baptise someone because they decide that that's what they want before their time's up, you're passing that personal thing on, aren't you, effectively, to that person, and it's their wish that you're fulfilling for them, that you're able to put that God-shaped thing into that person for them, and they believe in you giving them that, which is a wonderful thing, isn't it? It's a very personal thing.
Is it that they're doing that? Because if I wasn't an ordained minister, I wouldn't be able to do that, which is so sad.
Oh, I see.
But they're not believing in me, are they? I think a lot of people, if they're in end of life care, or they're coming to the end of their life, a lot of people really hoping that God is real.
Yeah.
And I think the beauty of being able to spend time with someone. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
The beauty of being able to spend time with someone who has got questions, and you're able to share your experience, because I can only ever share my experience and what's happened to me.
You've just recalibrated my thinking on that.
Yeah.
So by recalibrating my thinking now, what I now believe is that it's not that you have the letters.
Yeah.
It's that you have a faith
and a privilege. Yeah.
And they are able to experience that. And take it.
Yeah.
And then have the hope.
Yeah, I became an ordained minister because I wanted to make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
in faith,
Mm-hmm.
and I was pastoring at a church. I was one of the leaders at a church, which I loved.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to preach.
Mm-hmm.
I call
Mm-hmm.
it being a preacher, because I'm part of the Pentecostal church. I mean, thank goodness there's no denominations in heaven. Well, that's what I believe anyway. But with the Epic Hope and the way Epic Hope's going, I've really had to take a step back, and I feel that I'm fulfilling whatever my calling is now.
Yes,
anyway.
I was going to
more
ask
than
you
anything.
that.
Yeah. But Epic Hope isn't a Christian organisation. It's Epic Hope's for, it's a secular organisation. It's for, because I believe, this is what I believe, that personally, that my calling in this on earth is to help people who are struggling with the mental health.
Yes.
And that nobody takes their life by suicide, and I believe that's what I'm here to help.
Yeah.
And I will do my best to do that.
That's fantastic.
And that's what I believe, and that's what ultimately what Epic Hope's there for. And no, it's not about letters, and it's not about, no, and it's not. And I know for some people it is.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't it funny, you can do something and you can want something like that and think you're going down, and then you slightly come back to the path.
Yeah. Well, look, it's fascinating. The whole thing has been, and it's a wonderful conversation that I've really, really enjoyed. There's a couple of things I want to
go on.
For a number of reasons I've enjoyed it, because you know, the whole serendipitous way that things go in life, and the fact that there's been a kind of a full circle in terms of knowing you're okay, and that all of these things kind of come in cycles, don't they? And that's a wonderful thing in its own right. But you've had a fascinating set of experiences in life, and yet I still see the same happy person, joyful person that I met for that brief moment when I went picking up those tools that time. Couple of final things. So, why epic? Why that word?
Do you like the word epic?
Yeah, I do. I think it's incredible.
I hear it all the time now as well, and I think I never used to hear that word. I'll tell you the why epic. So I'm going to tell you a story. What's in a name? What's in a name?
Well, for someone who has his own studio, I made the worst marketing decision of my life when I called my business Magica Logical.
Why?
And I'm going to set this straight now. My business is called Magica Logical. Okay, Magica Logical. One word, two words, portmanteau, two together, and it's about the balance between creativity and commercial value. Ultimately, the two things are magic and logic.
Right.
The balance of the two things.
Yeah.
Can anyone say it? Can anyone remember it? No, they can't.
Magical, I can.
Okay.
I've never had a problem.
But when I'm on a call and someone says to me, "Can I just get your email address?" and I say, "Yeah, it's Stuart. Are you ready?" At Magica Logical. You wouldn't believe the number of people who can't. There's two L's in the middle. So it's been the worst marketing decision, or it's absolute genius, because people have to really concentrate and understand what it is that the business is called. So what's in the name for me? I'm in marketing, and Magica Logical is the worst marketing decision I've ever made.
So, my name is Reverend Helen Palmer-Cass.
Yes.
Right? So, but my preferred name, my pen name, what I always wanted to be when I was little, was Ellie.
Okay.
So, my books are Ellie Palmer-Cass. It's like, people who know me church, right, Rev Ellie.
Yeah.
But I've always preferred Ellie for years. And anyway, when I was my name's Helen.
Mm-hmm.
But when you've got a name that's been given to you by people who had nothing to do with your life, and one of them was very violent and almost killed you, and blah blah blah, you get to an age and you think, I got rid of my father's name as soon as I turned 18. but I had a lot of therapy in my late 30s. And it was one of the things that came up with my therapist.
Okay.
And it was about owning my identity.
Right.
So I started saying, yeah, that's it. I am Ellie. I am Ellie. I've got letters at home from when I was little, when I was growing up, and when me and my granddad would write Ellie and stuff. And my daughter's always practically known me as it, really.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just prefer it. And if Curtis will call me H.
Okay.
Always has done.
Okay.
But it's just, nobody really calls me Helen anymore, and I'm really grateful for that, because I'm not. I'm so it was to do with owning my identity, and I've spoken to quite a lot of women about this. It's more popular than you realise. Anyway,
I have a cousin called Ellie.
Have you? Yeah. Right. And it's really funny because I don't tell lots of people, but then again, lots of people who knew me from growing up have always said, oh yeah, you are Ellie. However, when I've told people that my legal name's Helen, because I always say, well, I suppose it's like a Richard being called Dick, or Barbara being called Babs. Like, they're always different. I don't know, where do they come from.
Yes.
But when I tell people, they go, oh no, you're not a Helen. And I always think, I know I'm absolutely not. I don't know, it's just something, but therapy works. Therapy works. Anyway, I have a really close friend in Texas, because I used to work for a New York-based charity. Yeah. So I've got friends all over America, and one of my really close friends, she's a Texan. So she has me in a WhatsApp, always pinging messages, as my initials, EPC. So I shouldn't be telling this to everyone, because nobody knows, and now you've made it big news. So she always says, oh, Ellie, I just call you Epic, because you're epic. Because it's like EPC.
Yeah.
And she says, that's what I see. She says, you're just epic. She just sees me as that. So when we were coming up with names, Renee was one of the people who said, because I was like, we need to be something about love. And then it was, no, we need to be about hope, because hope is what people need when they're suicidal. So then it was like, it needs to be Epic Hope, because it's yours. Yeah. So that's how it came. Epic
That's fantastic.
Hope. But I said, well, it's not big epic. It'll have to be a little I. So it all worked out, because I said, it's not about me though. So it was the little I, because it's not about me. But then it made the initials look even more. So that's how it came about. So it's amazing when you get a group of people planning a name, which maybe you should have got a group of people planning Magical Logical. But isn't it what's in a name? And the weird thing is, I get asked to speak at quite a lot of conferences, and I met a wonderful woman the other day called Susie Orr. And Susie Orr has started a foundation because of breast cancer experience. Why am I doing that? Sorry. It's like, and breast cancer. And she shares this story herself, so I'm not sharing anything that I can't share. She got a breast cancer diagnosis. She was going through that, and then her and her husband had split up, and it was awful. And her name was Susie Orr. And some people had said to her, "Are you going to change your name?" But she started the Susie Awesome Foundation.
Okay.
And I was talking to her, and I said, "Isn't it amazing how our names can come into these things, and how they really can mean something?"
Yeah. Something.
It's so powerful.
Yeah. Totally complementary, yet you've detached yourself from it, and yet there it is.
Yeah.
But I had to ask the question, because there is no sense of it being connected to you specifically.
Exactly.
I hadn't made that connection between the EPC, in fact.
Yeah.
Which is perhaps
now
why
you've told everybody.
I perhaps shouldn't be in marketing, because I'm not that good at it, am I?
Yeah.
But that is fantastic. To know that it's related to that, but the word is so fitting. The reason I asked the question is because I love the name. I think it's so powerful as a kind of a a light for those that need it.
Yeah.
Epic hope.
Yeah.
You know.
We need
You're going to
that
get me upset now
ultimate.
because there's a good pal of mine
Yeah.
who is struggling, really struggling. And I'm doing my best, you know. He's going to come in here, I think, at some point.
Right.
Because he's struggling with alcohol.
Right.
And it's caused a hell of a lot of issues
Yeah.
For his family. But it's part of him having to unpack some stuff from a long, long time ago. Around the time, funnily enough, that 23 years ago, longer than that now, in fact, when I was 17, things happened when we first met, which we'll talk about again. But to me, if I think about him and I think about that name and I think about putting you in touch with him, not from a suicidal ideation point of view or crisis point of view, but from a depression point of view or a struggling point of view, and a point of view of being in a harbour where things are great, where he can talk and express himself. Epic Hope is a phenomenal thing that I can't wait to tell him, you know, because I think he'll be totally open to how that fits in his recovery at the moment, you know, because he is recovering.
That's good.
He is recovering.
The beauty of the harbours just is this. We've had people come to the harbours who have in different areas who have struggled with alcohol addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason they've found hope in the harbours is because they've said, I can't go to that place where there are other people struggling with alcohol.
Okay.
Because I know that when we go outside, they'll say, are you coming for a drink? I've got a bottle of this just round there. But I know I'm not going to get that here.
Yeah.
So I feel safe.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that surprised us because we weren't... I mean, literally, you would be amazed at who comes through the doors.
Yeah.
And that's what we're there for, to offer hope to anybody who is struggling.
Yeah.
Because when you don't get that help, that's how you can get to that suicidal place.
Yeah.
So we do help people who are struggling.
Yeah. So the last question then is, how does anyone who's watching this, who any part of it has resonated with them, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way, Ellie?
So you can go on our website, which is epchope.org.uk, and you will see where all the harbours are. You'll be able to see about our new harbour opening. So we've got a new harbour opening in Atherton, which is going to be practically every day of the week soon. It starts... We're doing a soft launch at the end of November, but it's going to be open like from 3 till 11.
Okay.
So our harbours are all open for a couple of hours.
Yes.
But this one's going to be open from November, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 till 11.
Wow.
Actually, Saturdays, I think it's during the day.
Okay.
But from 3 in the afternoon till 11 at night.
That's a really good window, isn't it, for people?
Well, this has been my dream.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't... Yeah, we're just over the moon. It's happening. And then hopefully next year there's going to be another like that in Wigan. So, yeah, this is exciting. We're currently recruiting staff at the moment as well. So, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
so
because
that's where
this
they can
is what
get
we
in touch.
need. Yeah, so people can come.
What was the web address again?
epchope.org.uk.
Fantastic.
There's a referral form as well. You can just turn up at a harbour and we can help you with safety plans. On our website, you can have a good look around it because there's all sorts of things. If you need resources, if you need helplines, if you need to look for something that you might be struggling with, we've got so many different types of websites on there and helplines if you need help for other kinds of things.
Okay.
Have a look on our resources
as well. So that network exists, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, listen, it's been wonderful to catch up with you.
I feel like we've just had such a disjointed conversation.
Well, do you know what?
And I've cried in the middle of it.
But the thing is, to put structure onto something so organic and so big would have been impossible anyway. I think to have it flow the way it did, people will get a lot out of just watching it in one hit.
I'm laughing because when we came in, we just thought we were going to sit here giggling our heads off, and then we've gone through some really powerful stuff. But I absolutely love talking to you anyway.
Yeah, well, it's been great, and thank you for my little gift.
I just feel like, do you know what I'm going to do with these? I am gonna learn to juggle, because did you watch that thing on the television last night? Epic Hope.
That's right.
There was a thing on television last night, and this is what I'm always going on about, and I write about it in my second book, the devotional Elevation.
Do you know what? We've not talked about your books. What are the titles of the books, and where can people get them?
Broken to Blooming is my first book, which I speak about my experiences, what I've spoken about today.
Yes.
It's about me from being born till I was 30.
Okay.
And then my next book was Elevation, which is a devotional which has stuff in about your neural pathways.
Okay.
After brain injury.
Yes. Wow.
But when you've had, problems like I've had, growing new neural pathways is amazing. And it was on the television last night.
Oh, really?
And it was talking about how you should learn 3 new things in the space of 3 months, and how it helps your memory and things.
Okay.
But because it helps you grow new neural pathways.
I see.
And I was like, I've been telling people about this for years.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're too late.
You're way ahead of your time.
I did this documentary years ago. But one of them was juggling.
Okay.
And I thought, we should learn to juggle. We could have done a juggling act for everybody.
That would have been fantastic.
With the amazing stress balls from Epic Hope.
Well, I expect the next time that you're in, you to be able to do a one-handed 3-ball juggle.
Can you do that? Oh my gosh,
yeah.
I can do that.
Well, we'll see how you get on. But thanks for coming in, Ellie. It's been wonderful.
It's been fun.
All right, great stuff.
Thank you, Stuart.
See you soon.
Bye.